The Matrix is the greatest friggin' movie. There was a few things I didn't like about it because I felt like it was jig-jaggedy. Imagine my thrill to have on today the author of The Matrix, who, I mean, I don't know, are we twins or what? We're both, we think of the same kind of back ass word upside down. The genius Tom Althouse.
Thanks, Roseanne. Yeah, even the studio heads say they still don't understand it. They don't understand it. They asked the Wachowskis to explain it to him, Joel Silver to explain it to him. They couldn't either. They said, we have something cool, but we don't understand it. We can understand it together today.
Okay. I want to start. I wrote this all down, and it's got to go in order because you're like me. You talk in a very large circle within another circle.
Layers.
Yeah, layers, because that's kind of how a traumatized mind survives. Am I right?
Exactly. You create other layers to be free from the oppressive ones.
And that was kind of your childhood, right? You had trauma as a child.
Yes, I had terrible trauma, and I thought that's the way the world was. And then right away, you get that idea that I have to make a difference. I've got to change this. Maybe I can love people out of this. Maybe I can get them to see a different way of being. And you work to that end from a young age.
But yeah, that's kind of like your altruistic self. But deeper, another layer down is the burning desire to tell that story, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And then you find that there's other mediums to do it through, art, music, things like that. Suddenly you become a connoisseur basically in all different mediums such as you are.
I mean, it's an explosion of creativity that comes at exactly the right time. It doesn't come when it's not supposed to come, right?
Exactly. It even enters your dreams. Lucid dreaming becomes part of your life. It's a way you have to control your dreams to have a safe environment. You start to lucid dream.
So you were always I don't know what the word is. I always say autist. You know,
Yeah.
were you said by 5 years old they recognized that you were a gifted child.
Yes, teachers were already starting to recognize it. As soon as I entered the public realm of education, it was starting to stand out.
Weren't you playing the piano and all kind of crazy?
Secretly. I was not supposed to. So I would go down and play it very quietly so no one heard me. And I was not supposed to collect coins. I was not supposed to do art. So it became this desire.
Why?
It was supposed to be my brother's realm, my brother's area, my older brother. I was not supposed to be one that intruded on his realm.
What were you supposed to do?
Collect stamps.
Okay.
Yeah, which wasn't my world.
So but you weren't allowed to play the piano. That makes no sense.
Yeah, no, that was supposed to be something. It was all divvied out to different siblings. They were supposed to be this, that's, and it's like a very categorical kind of assignment of who we were and what we were and how we were identified.
Real rigid.
Extremely.
Was it very religious?
Extremely.
Oh, okay. I was confused.
Okay, so it was that real rigid, was it Christian?
You could call it that, I guess, on today's labels, yeah.
Like what kind of Christian?
Sort of a fill in the blanks. You can make it your own. I would call it controlled Christianity, where you get what you want by using it to get what you want. And so the rules are applied as you create them and draw upon the Bible to reinforce those rules.
Well, you're seeing real deep into a system, aren't you?
Yes, that's why I at the young age, at 5, I was like, I don't want this happening to anybody. And I had this weird event, Roseanne, I'll tell you, where at 5 years old, it was my big moment, like change moment, stepping stone, crossroad life moment, where I thought, if I could take on the illness of everybody in the world, because you're thinking about like a child, then everybody can be happy. Because I realized I wasn't getting a chance to be happy. So chores were the only time I got to play. Chores, making bowls into boats, sinking them, things like that was my, making that like Cinderella. So I thought, maybe that's the answer. If I take the sickness on myself. That night I got a fever and I was overjoyed thinking that people were going to be happy. So that set the stage for, you have to have that background to approach a matrix work. Very different, like you said, very different.
Well, then I was wanting to lead up to what brought you to write The Matrix, but that wasn't your first thing that you wrote, was it?
Well, what I was doing secretly, and those journals are still existing, which is really wild. I was creating, if you would, childlike screenplays. So I was writing down, I had my own code for writing music and composing music. And I would lightly pencil on the, I'd be killed for this now, but on the piano ivories, I would lightly pencil in A, B, C, D.
I did that
E.
too.
Did you?
Uh-huh.
We are related. So, yeah. And so I composed on papers, that kind of thing, right? And I even had that bell tone toy where you hit it with little sticks and created on that. And so then writings, I came up with these different writings. As I learned more to write, it compelled me to want to learn more. And so I could record these different stories and different ideas, inventions, things like that at a young age. Because since I wasn't playing, I turned it to creating and inventing.
Did stories just pour out of you?
Couldn't stop it. I
Yeah,
could not turn the
couldn't either.
mind
Me either.
off.
Uh-huh.
Couldn't turn it off. And if you probably realize this too, that if you're not recording it somehow,
You forget it.
yeah, and you feel like you're going to explode. I recognized that at my one child. I knew that he had to be able to way to express himself. He had the same thing I had, you have.
Yeah, it's a beyond a compulsion and
It's
an obsession,
beyond.
right?
It is driven.
So, and did you always know that you were made like that?
Yes, always knew. And I got chastised for it. Yeah. So that's what made it even hit home farther,
Yeah.
is that if I'm being beaten because I'm being told I'm too perfect, it doesn't add up. But the thing was, maybe
Your
I
mom
have
thought you were too good looking, right?
she said I look like a doll. Yeah, because you picture me as a young boy. I had the blue eyes, the dimple, the big smile flashing all the time. That's why different parties would gravitate towards me. And I even had one woman got in a tug of war with my dad, trying to pull me and saying I was her child at one point. Don't know what was all behind that, but things like that would happen.
Yeah, people don't know that other weirdos and freaks are triggered by just seeing a kid.
Exactly. The visuals are very strong, I
Mhm.
think, in their heart and mind. It's
Mhm.
something that's like honey to the
It's
fly.
prey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm getting to now you're at you're going to a Christian college. I love that it's called Messiah Christian College. And that's where?
That's in Grantham, Pennsylvania. And that's where the wool starts to come off the eyes on the outer world. I knew about the home life, if you can call it a home life. I called it a downbringing rather than upbringing. But the thing is that when I got to college and things like that, I got to see what the world was really functioning as and the hypocrisy that was rank throughout these, especially religious institutions.
Right.
I mean, there was a real quick nutshell. I was on the soccer team and we were like state champions. And this one gentleman, just how I talk, he had raped this one poor woman at this college, Messiah College. And you can imagine what they did. They gave her counseling and said she has to forgive him and not let anybody know. And he was playing the next day on the team. Yeah. And that let me know right away, changes need to happen. Maybe we can whisper through art.
So you see